Okay, so welcome to the CSE110 Exam 1 review. So today's agenda, we're just going to go over the presenter objectives and then dive into the content. Before that, these are the QR codes for our tutoring center. If you guys want to just take a quick snapshot to follow us, I'm just going to pause here for a minute and then move ahead. Okay, and here's the link to sign into the workshop. I'm just gonna drop it in the chat. Could you all please sign into the workshop and just let me know once you're done so we can continue. Meshach, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but are you good?
I'm good, yeah.
Okay. We're gonna move on then. So I'm Aishwariya Ranjan. I'm a computer systems engineering junior, and I'm with the special programs team, and I'm going to be your lead workshop tutor today. So our learning objectives, we're just going to go over data types, operators and expressions, loops, conditional statements, and I came to know that methods are not covered in your exam. Could any of you just let me know if that's true? Are methods covered? Because then we would go over it or we would skip it if they're not.
For me, I don't know. So maybe if we could cover it, that'd be nice.
Okay, because I saw one of Feng's schedule, exam schedule. Methods was not covered. You're going to cover it after the exam one. So we'll see if time permits. Okay. So first, let's go over data types. There are two kinds of data types in Java, primitive data types and non-primitive data types. The most common ones are int, double, Boolean, and char. So a character, char. And int has a range from this huge negative number to this positive number. You're going to use that most frequently. Short and long are similar to int, but their ranges vary. You don't have to know much about them. It's not that frequently used. Float and double take fractional numbers. Float takes up to 6 to 7 decimal places, and double takes up to 15 decimal places. Boolean takes just 2 values, true or false, and char takes single character values like a letter of the alphabet. And non-primitive data types or objects are strings and arrays. String is another one which you're going to use a lot, especially in exam 1. So we have specific rules for naming Java identifiers. Identifiers are basically any name in Java, it could be a name of a variable or a method or a class or anything. So rules to name them, the name can contain a letter. It could be capital A to Z or small a to Z. It could have numbers. It could have an underscore or a $sign. Keep in mind, a name cannot begin with a digit, and it cannot contain spaces or special characters. Any special character other than an underscore or $sign will lead to an invalid name. And spaces. So if I write int first space name, then string first space name, then I would be creating two string objects instead of like one if I just wanted the first name because of the space. And the name cannot be a reserved keyword. Reserved keywords like public or int cannot be used to name your variables. So we'll move on. Then string and scanner class. So scanner class is used to obtain the user input. So if you want to use the scanner class, you have to import the scanner class from Java library. So this statement, import java.util.scanner, is very important. You have to write it to be able to use the scanner class. Then to write, to make a scanner object, this is the code: scanner, scan. Over here, scan is just the name of my scanner. It could be anything you like. So scanner scan equals to new scanner. And in brackets, we have system.in because we are taking user input. Like when you print out, you write system.out.println. So you're giving output, right? So system.in is we're taking user input. So this line of code creates a new scanner object. Now you receive the user input, but you need to store it somewhere, right? So you're gonna create a variable. It could be an int or a string or anything. So int x equals scan.next. And if my user input is a number, then I would use scan.nextInt. It receives only numerical inputs. And this input is then stored into X. So assignment happens from the right to the left in Java. Now, if I want to receive text from the user, then I would use scan.next or scan.nextLine. So the difference between these two is that scan.next just takes input without any spaces. So if you're typing in a sentence, then it would only take the first word. It terminates when the spacebar is hit. And scan.nextLine would let you write a full sentence, and it only terminates when you hit the enter button. So there are string methods associated with strings that help us use them more efficiently. So one is length. This returns the length of the string. That's like the number of characters. And char at int x would basically give you the character at that particular index x. Substring int x, comma int y. So if you use this method, you would start from index x, and then it would give you the substring until y minus 1. So you start at x and you stop at y. We're going to see examples on the next page to make it more clear. Then to uppercase basically makes the whole string into uppercase letters, and to lowercase converts it into lowercase letters. Compared to string x compares one string to the string in the brackets, so string x. So to look at some examples, over here I have string ABC with the corresponding value ABC, CDE, and EFG. If I do ABC.length, it would return 3 because I have 3 characters in stored in string ABC. Then if I do ABC.char at 1, it returns B because index in Java starts from 0. So it would be 0, 1, 2. So char at 1 would basically give me B. And then abc.substring, we start at 0 and then we stop at 2. So we start at 0, A, B is 1, C is 2. So we stop at 2. We don't include C. So it would return just A and B. ABC dot to uppercase would just convert everything stored in string ABC to capital letters. So that is capital ABC. Similarly, if we use dot to lowercase, it would return everything, the contents of that string in lowercase. ABC dot compared to CDE would return -1 because A comes before C. So in Java, in computer language in general, the alphabets have numerical values associated to them. And so A comes before C, even in the numerical order. So when we're comparing ABC to CDE, first it would compare the first letter. So it's basically comparing A to C. And since A comes before C, it returns -1. But in the second case, you see BCD and ABC are being compared. So you basically start comparing the first letter. And B comes after A. So this would return a 1. Any questions?
A quick question with
Mhm.
about the compare to.
Right.
So if, let's say for the last one, the BCD ABC, let's say it's CBD compared to ABC. Is it just gonna go down each index and compare each one?
If it's CBD,
Yeah.
compared to what?
ABC. Oh wait, never mind. I just realized what that's doing.
Yeah, so CBD compared to ABC, so it would start off with the first letter, right? So C comes after A, so
Yeah.
it would return 1.
Okay. And it's like the case where, let's say it's like AB, like it's like the same letter is the same. Is it gonna skip that and then compare the
Yeah,
next
so
one?
if it's ABC compared to ABD,
Mhm.
then it would compare A would be the same in both cases, then it would move to B would be the same, and then C comes after D, right? So sorry, C comes before D, right? So it would return -1.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on. So here's an example problem for you guys. I'm gonna let you do it, and then I'll give you 2 minutes, and then I'll show you the answers. Okay, so we have the string X that has I like Java stored in it. We need to print out the length. So you would basically just count all the characters, including the spaces. So that will give you 11. Then we have to print out the substring starting from 0 and stopping at 9. So you would basically just take the first 8. So it would print out I like Ja because it starts at index 0 and prints all characters until the 8th character. Then we had to print out char at 4. So starting from 0, remember, we would count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we would stop at K and it returns K. All good? Okay. Now for operators and expressions. So here are the simple arithmetic operators. Plus adds two numbers or it concatenates two strings. Concatenate means it just like joins them together. The minus sign subtracts two numbers, the slash divides two numbers, and it does not give the remainder. And also remember, if you are dividing two integers and you have a decimal answer, it's just gonna round it off to give you an integer answer. But if even one of the digits you're dividing is a decimal, then you'll get an answer in decimal. Okay, so the percentage sign or the modular sign gives you the remainder of two numbers being divided, and the star multiplies two numbers. So here are some examples. Int x is 5, int y is 10. So we're in total x plus y. If you do this, it would give you 15 because the values are stored. Make sure their x and y are not enclosed in double quotes, because if that is the case, then your answer would just print out xy. But over here, we're adding x, the value in x and the value in y, so we'll get 15. Then the example over here, we have string A and string B with these stored in it. So the string result is A plus this comma over here plus B. So this is concatenation. It's basically just like putting it together because you can't add text as such. And then we have to print out the result. So the answer looks like this. You would print out hi there, comma, my name is James. So here's another problem for you guys to do. I'll give you a minute again. You have int c equals 6, double x, and double y. So what would the output be for y equals x plus c? Okay, so c is an integer, x is a double. So adding them would give you a double value. So the result would be 13.4. Another problem, int x is 7, int y is 5, z is x modulo y, and then in int result, we're storing z times 10 plus 5. So what would be printed out? I'm actually not sure about this couple of zeros. I guess you could just like put it in on an online compiler and it would tell you if you want to cross verify. Let's see. Okay. So variables x and y are declared. Then the modular operator gives you the remainder of the numbers being divided. So 7 divided by 5 would give you a remainder of 2. So z has the value 2 stored in it. Now int result would be 2 times 10 plus 5. So that is indeed 25. Okay. Loops. So in Java, there are 3 kinds of loops: the while loop, the for loop, and the do while loop. In the while loop, we're just gonna go through these quickly. Int x equals 5. And while x is greater than 0, we hop into the loop if this condition is satisfied, which it is. And then we perform we execute the code inside. So x equals x minus 1. So 5 is now 4. And then once we finish executing the code inside, we're just gonna loop back and check the while condition again. 4 is still greater than 0. So once more, we go into the loop and now it's 3. Again, we check the condition, it's still greater than 0. So we go, it's 2, then it's 1. And now when it's 1 and you decrease it, it's 0. So it checks the condition again. And since 0 is not greater than 0, we would just exit the loop. So the loop is exited when x equals 0. Now for the for loop, again, we start with int x equals 5. In the for loop, this is the initialization. So we're initializing the for loop with int I equals 5. This is the condition we're checking. So we'll keep doing this loop until I is, for all i's greater than 0, like starting from 5. And then after each iteration of the loop, we have to decrease I by 1. So x is 5. We go into the loop. We start off with I equals 5. Now we're executing this part of the code. So x is decreased by 1 again. So now x is 4. And we go back to this. But keep in mind, I was 5, but now I has also decreased by 1. Decreased by 1 because we've completed one iteration. So now I is 4. I is still greater than 0. So we're going to go into this loop again. We're going to execute this and we're going to check it again. So basically over here, the condition, it's not related to x like it was in the while loop. We made our own conditions over here for how long the for loop should run. And in this case, it would run the same as the while loop because we start from 5 and we run until I is equal to 0. So once I is equal to 0, we would check the condition over here again. It would not be satisfied, so we would exit the loop. Now for the do while loop, the do while loop is different because like these two other loops, we first check the condition and then dive into the loop. Over here, we execute the loop at least once and then check the condition. That's a major difference between the while and the do while loop. So x is 5 here. We go into the loop. We increase x's value by 1. And then once we're done with the code inside the loop, we check the while condition. X is less than equal to 10. Yes, it's satisfied. So then we go over this all again. And we would keep going there until x is 10. And then, so once x is 10, we go into the loop. And then x's value increases by 1. So x becomes 11 now. And then when we check the condition, it's not satisfied. So we would exit this loop once x is 11. Any questions? Okay. Moving on, here's an example for you guys. Int x equals 10, while x greater than equal to 0, print x, and then decrease x's value by 2. So what is the last value of x that will be printed? That's right. And what about all the values to be printed, just a little extra? What would be the total output? That's correct. Okay, so let's go over this. So x is initialized as 10. So while we jump into the while loop, we check the condition, x is greater than equal to 0. We satisfy the condition, so we go into the loop and print out x, and then x's value is decreased by 2. So we go back into the loop because we're done executing whatever was inside. We check the condition. 8, the value of x is 8 now. 8 is still greater than 0. So you would go into the loop again and you would repeat until it's 0 itself. So you would basically be printing out a set of even numbers from 10 up till 0. So the last value to be printed would be 0. Let me know if you have any questions on this. Okay. So here's a breakdown of the for loop. So first, we initialize our value, int I equals to 0, for example. And then after we're done initializing, we make our condition, a stopping condition. How long do you want the for loop to run? And after we do the condition, so we then check if the condition is satisfied, we go into the loop, we execute all the statements. And then once we're done with that, we update the value of I of the thing we initialized. We could either be increasing it or decreasing it depending on the kind of operation you're doing. And once you update I, you would check the condition again. If it's true, you would again run the body of the loop. And if it's false, then you would exit the loop. Now for the do while loop, remember, it's different than for loop or the while loop because the body would be executed at least once before it exits the loop. So first, we jump into the loop, we execute the statements, we would update any value if needed, and then we would have to update the value, otherwise it would be an infinite loop. And then we check the condition. If the condition is satisfied, then we would run this thing again. If it's not satisfied, we just move out. All good here? Okay, conditional statements. So we have if statements, we have else statements, and we have else if statements. So if you want to check a particular condition, suppose you want to check A greater than B, you would write if A greater than B, then do da da da, do this code. and you would exit the code if that's all you need. But suppose you're checking if A is greater than B, then do this. Otherwise, if that condition is not satisfied, you want your program to do something else. So you would use the else statement. And if you have, so if A is not greater than B, this if condition is not satisfied, you wanted to check another condition. So if you wanted, you have another condition to specify, in that case, you would use the else if statement to and then execute whatever you want to. So here are relational operators used with the conditional statements. So if you want to check if two values are equal or not, you would use the double equal to sign. Oh, I have a question. I'm kind of confused about x plus plus and plus plus x. Okay, so over here, basically, it makes no difference. X plus plus, if you're talking about like the for loop where you're updating X or I or whatever, it would do the same thing. It doesn't matter. Both of them just increase the value of X by 1. Does that make sense? Yeah. Are you good, Mishak?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a thumbs up over there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah, it's
couldn't
okay.
see it. Okay. Okay. So if you want to check if two values are equal or not, then you would use the double equal to sign. Do any of you know what would happen if you used just the single equal to sign?
If you just use a single equal sign, won't it just come up as an error in the conditional?
No, it wouldn't necessarily cause an error. What would it do? What's the difference between using a single equal to sign and a double equal to sign? Yeah, that's right. So a single equal to sign is assignment. So if I do x equals y, I'm basically setting whatever value was stored in y and putting it in x. And if I use the double equal to sign, I'm comparing two values. So single equal to is assignment, double equals is I'm checking. So yeah, so double equal to is checking if two values are equal. If you want to check that they're not equal, then you would use the exclamation mark equal to sign. If you want to see it's greater than, if you want to see if it's less than or equal to another value, you would use the less than and equal to sign. If you want to make sure it's strictly less than a value, then you would use this sign. Similarly, you would use the greater than equal to sign and the greater than sign. Okay. There is another example problem. So double num is 10.5. If num is less than equal to 12, print yes. So num variable is initialized to 10.5, and the statement has to check if that number is less than 12, which it is. So we would print out yes, because the condition is satisfied. Now we have the same problem, but a small change is if the number is less than equal to 10, less than or equal to 10, we print out less than. Otherwise, we have another condition to check. If it's greater than equal to 10, then we print out greater. So in this case, 10.5 would go to the else if loop because the if is not satisfied. So, and it would print out greater. Another way we could do this, since we only have two conditions, we only are checking if it's less than or equal to 10, or if it's greater than, then we would only need to use the else case, because if it's not less than or equal to, for any other case, we would just want to print out greater. So you could use the if statement and the else statement. different operator. Okay, so we have methods here, but you're not gonna have them on your exam. So I guess we'll just skip over them unless you really want to do them. But otherwise, that's all I have for you guys. Yeah, thank you for coming to the workshop. If you have any questions, I could take them now. Any specific questions?